Hey guys, welcome to March Mammal Madness, lesson number 3. Highly anticipated. We're finally moving on, and the bracket is ready for you guys to fill out. All of the scouting reports have been turned in, so I just wanted to go over how to fill out a bracket and a little bit more about combat so that you guys understand any questions you might have about combat. All right, so combat, as you know, works in that each animal will face its combatant in battle, and the battles are generally one-on-one, meaning they're not in packs unless it's otherwise noted. And battles are not always to the death. Sometimes the winner wins through another means. So you have to think about these battles, instead of being battle to the death, they're a battle for survival. We're looking in terms of survival of the fittest. So sometimes the winner might win by doing something like stealing the other competitor's feeding location. Sometimes you have a really powerful animal fighting against an animal that's not as powerful, and that powerful animal isn't going to attack because it's not motivated to. If it has a chance of getting injured in that battle, it would probably not fight because even a small bite or a cut could get infected and that animal could die. And so it would rather back down than take a risk for little potential benefit. So there are possibilities like that you have to think about when you are filling out your bracket. Battle outcome depends on two things. One is the species adaptations, which we've talked about, and the other is the battle location, which is why I had you guys write down the habitat and the location of the animals when you filled out your scouting reports. So, the first category, adaptations, those are those adaptations that you guys learned a bit about. So you've got your behavioral, your structural, and your physiological adaptations. So scientists have gotten together and they've looked at the animals that are paired up, and they've chosen the animals based on their adaptations. So those weapons, armor, their fight style. Maybe some animals are more aggressive than others. Some animals are just not aggressive at all, and they wouldn't fight. Their size, what they eat, what their motivation to fight is, their social behavior. As we talked about, animals might not waste energy attacking weaker opponents or take those unnecessary risks for that little payoff. So once the scientists have looked at those adaptations and determined who would out-survive the other competitor, they estimate the probability of the battle outcome, and then they use a random number generator to determine the final outcome. So that means that they take the most probable winner, and then they put it into a random number generator that will sometimes give an upset. So just like in real basketball tournament or any other sporting tournament, there are sometimes upsets. Sometimes the weaker opponent or the less likely opponent wins, and that's what keeps this interesting. So the second category criteria for winning is the battle location. So when you are considering who to choose for your winners, think about where those battle locations are. So in the early rounds, the battle location will always be the habitat of the better ranked animal. So next to each animal is a number, and that's their rank. So the higher, the lower, which is the higher ranking, so the lower number. So like ranking number 1 would be better than number 16. The better ranked animal his habitat is the place where that tournament and that battle is happening. So that's in the early rounds of the tournament. There are different rounds, and one of the later rounds is called the elite trait, like the Elite Eight. And the elite trait round, the location is randomly assigned for those remaining battles. And there are 4 biomes that could be chosen: swamp forest, desert grasslands, subtropical conifer forest, which is warm forest with trees that have needles for leaves, and coastal. So those are the location possibilities that are going to be randomly assigned for the elite trait, and those locations will be, you will be told which location the battle is in. So think about when you're looking at your pair ups. Some species live in a hot habitat, and they are fighting in a cold habitat. They could dangerously overheat. And so you want to think about where that's happening and how that animal is adapted to that habitat. Maybe there's something like an animal that's like a slug, and a slug needs a lot of moisture or it will dry out. And if the slug is fighting in a desert, then it's not going to probably do so well. So that's just another example of how battle location works. Should I always pick the higher seeded animal? No, just like in, filling out a bracket in any other tournament, just because that animal is ranked higher doesn't mean that it's necessarily always going to win. The rankings are not perfect. There are upsets in nature, just like upsets in any sports tournament. And so don't always just go with the higher seeded animal. There are some other rules. Hiding or running away counts as forfeit. I had some really good questions when you guys were filling out scouting reports about some of the animals. Their adaptation is that they hide when they're threatened, or they roll into a ball, or they climb a tree. And does that count as running away? Unless when you're reading the tournament, when you're reading the description of the tournament, unless it says this animal ran away, then you can assume that that climbing a tree or rolling into a ball is a way to survive. It's survival. It's not necessarily forfeiting. It's just that animal's defense mechanism. So unless it says this animal ran away, then assume that whatever that animal is doing to survive counts, and it isn't something that is a forfeit. Events that occur in early rounds, like injury or illness, carry over into later rounds. Just like in a real sport tournament, if somebody gets injured, it's not like that injury magically disappears for the next round of the tournament. It's going to stick with the animal all through the tournament. Okay, so when you guys are filling out your brackets, you will want to open up the file titled Scouting Reports. And there you will see all the scouting reports that you guys have filled out. And I tried to pair them up in a way that they're organized by each category, and they're like one after the other. So like sloth bear and pygmy hog are going head to head in this round. So I tried to put the scouting report with sloth bear first, and then right after it is pygmy hogs, so that you don't have to go crazy trying to scroll around and find each one. So you are going to want to look at those scouting reports. Those are going to help you figure out who's winning and who you should choose. So if we have the sloth bear, and he lives in the forest in Asia, and we have the pygmy hog, which also lives in Asia. Pygmy hog and sloth bear both eat bugs. Sloth bear eats mammals as well. Pygmy hog eats some grass. Sloth bear has some adaptations such as claws, but he's also very slow. And we've got the pygmy hog, which is a really fast runner. So there are a number of different outcomes if these two were to go head to head. Sloth bear could potentially attack pygmy hog. However, pygmy hog could outrun sloth bear if he's a fast runner and this guy's slow. Another thing to consider is that they both eat bugs. So the fast runner might get to the anthill faster than sloth bear, and so it might steal sloth bear's feeding location, in which case sloth bear wouldn't survive. So if I were filling this out, I might choose the hog. So next to the line, on the line next to your two contenders, you're going to write in your choice. And for me, it's the hog. And then you're going to continue down the line just like that, filling out who you would like to see or who you believe is going to win. So then let's say I chose cat and condor and bat and all the way down the line. Then what's going to happen is hog and cat are going to go head to head in the next round. So I'm going to have to choose who I think would win. And let's say I chose bat. Cat and bat are going head to head. Let's say I chose bat. And so that's kind of how you fill out the bracket. So I want you to fill out the entire bracket that way. And here's a picture of that bracket again. So you can see that you've got the four divisions. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're going to go ahead and fill out the entire thing. There is a wild card round. So the mongoose is fighting this pygmy spotted skunk. So the winner for that you'll put there. And then the sloth bear fights the winner of the wild card round for this, to determine this slot. So we have all these different rounds. We've got round 1, round 2. Round 2 is the Sweet 16. Round 3, the Elite Trait. Round 4, the Final Roar. And then the championship. So go ahead and fill all those out. When you're completed, you're going to take, it's not called bracket quiz, it's just called bracket questions. And it's attached to this lesson in Edmodo. It's true or false questions about the tournament, what we just went through. And you can reply in Edmodo. You can turn it in and just write down your true or false answers in the reply or the turning in function for this assignment in Edmodo. I want to stress that when you guys fill out your brackets, I want you to actually look at the scouting reports and not just rush through and pick any animal and just be like, I'm done. Because that's not the point of this. The point is that you're learning and that you're using critical thinking to think through those adaptations and really decide who you think would actually win. So if you're just rushing through it, I can't stop you from doing that or prevent you from doing that, but you're only really cheating yourself in your learning experience. So please take your time and actually fill it out. And of course, let me know if you have any questions. Message me on Teams or in Edmodo. I'm happy to go through this presentation one-on-one if you need a little more guidance on how to do this. Thanks a bunch, guys, and I will talk to you later.